So good morning, everybody. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. We're really excited to have you here. If this is your first time, feel free to get up and help yourself to coffee throughout the presentation. We try to keep this pretty low key. What will happen today is we're going to do introductions, announcements, and then we will turn things over to Scott, and he'll be talking about Starting Block. He'll probably talk for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're going to turn things over to you guys as the audience, and it's your chance to ask whatever questions you might be interested in. So we'll have about 20 minutes for Q&A, and then once Q&A is over, you'll have a chance to talk to Scott one-on-one or network amongst yourselves. So we'll keep a portion for that. As far as announcements go, we want to thank our sponsors, the Wisconsin Technology Council, and I know that Maurice Cheeks is going to say a few words when I hand the mic over to him. We're also thankful for Field 59, who does a live streaming and video recording of each of our presenters. So thank you, guys. Round of applause. Finally, we had an interesting conversation last week with the Tory Burch Foundation. I don't know if maybe more of the ladies might be familiar with the Tory Burch brand. They are based out of New York City. They also have a foundation called the Tory Burch Foundation, and they look to support women entrepreneurs through micro-lending and interest-free loans and advisory services. While they're based in New York, they're a nationwide program, and they're interested in helping women-led businesses get the funding that they need or get advice. They have a partnership with U.S. Bank and Goldman Sachs. So if you're interested or you're looking for additional resources, please feel free to reach out to them via their website or contact me, and I can put you in touch with the director of the program there. I think it's just a great thing to have in the back of your pocket. And then in terms of introductions, my name's Rachel Neal. I'm one of the organizers of 1 Million Cups Madison. I also work at Nordic Consulting.
Hi, I'm Megan O'Rear. I'm also one of the organizers of of 1 Million Cups. I also work at Nordic Consulting, and I've been very involved with 100 State.
Good morning. My name is Bram Dahlmans. I'm the director of the Wisconsin Angel Network, and I work with Mo at the Wisconsin Technology Council, and we're a sponsor of this event.
Hi, I'm Steve Claude, co-founder of 32 Auctions, which is a platform for hosting and managing silent auctions.
I'm Kurt Peterson. I'm the other co-founder of 32 Auctions.
I'm Emily Harritz, and I'm a Quiet Time.
Josh Harritz, and I am with Miosoft, big data platform here in Madison.
Garrett Lee, Good Point and Why? Work out of 100 State.
Rowan Childs. I work at Quiet Time and Madison Reading Project.
I'm Derek Gebler, CEO and founder of Field 59, and our offices are at 100 State.
Eric Rogers, entrepreneur and soon-to-be founder of 608 Underground Startup State of Mind, which is a hip-hop and arts incubator, Madison.
I'm Drew Corson. I'm an attorney at Knight & Boucher.
Taylor King, Economic Development Department in the City of Sun Prairie.
Paul Kepnick, Good Point, and sit on the board of Mutual Aid Network.
Joey Frayne, WEDC, the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Division.
Carrie Sedlak, Broad Street Data Foundry, a health analytics company.
Tracy Flood, Broad Street Data Foundry.
Melissa Kaisers, Creative Business Interiors.
Steve Deinhardt, Heartland Business Transitions. We're a boutique M&A firm. And then we have mulapitch.com, which is a securities crowdfunding site.
Jesse Sturts with Coakley Brothers.
Excuse me, Nicholas Kartos with Jim Dandy. We're a athletic space marketplace.
Spencer Fricke, UW student and the new 1 Million Cup UW ambassador.
Robert Godfrey, investing communities in Chicago, hoping to be in Madison soon.
Ian, junior at the UW, and part of ISEC, which solves business problems through global exchange.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Udovich with Heiko Solutions. We're in the custom offshore software development business. Hey, Carell Ashbrook with Town Square Co-working Software and HL Innovations Real Estate Investment Group.
Rachel Karanen. I'm a copywriter and marketing consultant for tech companies.
I'm Laurel White. I'm the tech reporter for the Cap Times.
Thanks, Laurel. My name is Maurice Cheeks. I'm the director of the Wisconsin Innovation Network and a member of the Madison City Council. Oh, sure. So the Wisconsin Technology Council is excited to sponsor the month of September for 1 million cups. One of the reasons why we decided to do that, not only because we see this as exactly in line with our mission in terms of fostering innovation and high-tech growth throughout the state, but because we are planning for our early stage symposium, which is our statewide conference, happens on November 4th and 5th. And the mission of that conference is to gather entrepreneurs and investors from all across the state. We'll be at the Monona Terrace. We've been doing this conference this will be the 31st year. We'll have about 500, 600 people at that event. And Bram actually will be putting together a group of probably in total 40 entrepreneurs and several dozen investors that will 40 entrepreneurs that will be pitching and several investors that will be there to speak and to observe. And then it's also just an educational conference for folks in the community. So I want you guys to mark your calendars for November 4th and 5th for the early stage symposium. So thank you.
Thank you so much for everybody for coming out. And it looks like we are almost set. If I could sing, I would sing a song, but I don't think anybody wants to hear that even without coffee.
Sounds great.
Since you need someone to dance. So the Tech Council, I mentioned, is sponsoring. For those of you who don't know what the Tech Council is, we are a nonpartisan nonprofit that was started about 14 years ago when we served as advisory to the governor and state legislature on how to advance the high-tech economy. One of the ways that we do that is by hosting regular events throughout the state. Thank you. Hello. So that's why we organize the Wisconsin Angel Network, which brings investors together for educational opportunities, and why I lead the membership organization called the Wisconsin Innovation Network. So, for instance, on September 10th, we'll be in Milwaukee. We'll have the president of Marquette University talking about some of the partnerships that they're forming there and how that's feeding into innovation in the Milwaukee area. And on September 22nd, Tuesday, luncheon event here in Madison at the Sheraton, we will be having the Badger Fund of Funds come in and talk about that new statewide venture fund and how that's going to be leading, how that's supposed to lead to significant growth in the venture industry in Wisconsin. So, did I dance for long enough?
Oh, you danced.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mo.
Thank you, Mo.
We'll put together our entertainment. Hi, I'm Scott Resnick. I'm the executive director of StartingBlock Madison. If you listen to innovator Steve Johnson, what we learn about startups in the Madison area or anywhere in the world is startups don't happen in a vacuum. It's small interactions that occur. Who knows where this building is right here? This is a building on Old University Avenue. Do you know what's special about it? Epic started there. Judy Faulkner had her first offices here in 1979. Do you know who else had their first offices there? American Girl. It's very rare that anybody can just pick that out of the audience so quickly. So I guess we're telling this story now more often than not. But Judy Faulkner, as she was moving out, actually gave her desk to Pleasant Rowland. And as you think about the two most successful entrepreneurs, both women in the Madison area, both of them interacted together in the 1970s and 80s. So what we're thinking about right here at Starting Block is how do we take Madison to that next level? How do we become a hub of innovation, of new ideas, of places to explore? Where do you go for that? We see places in Chicago like 1871. We see 1776 in Washington, D.C., Capitol Factory in Austin. But what will Madison's next piece be? And that's why I'm here to show you Starting Block Madison. Ooh. So Starting Block right here is a new building that will be starting construction hopefully this November or December. I have not exactly figured out how we do construction in the winter time, but our engineers say that it is very much doable. Starting Block will be on the 800 block of East Washington. So if you think right there, MG&E, Constellation, the new Galaxy building going up, Starting Block Madison will be right across from that location. What we will be is the first 4 floors of an 8-story tower. Above us will be American Family Insurance. To the left of us will be a new concert venue that will be about the same size or larger of the Majestic. And what we believe will be the catalyst for new ideas, of innovation and activity all around about the 800 block of East Washington. Because if you think about the city of Madison, where is there room to grow? You know, the university is almost entirely built out. You go around the Capitol Square and you see the law firms, the accounting firms that are located down there. This is the one area where we can truly grow an innovation district, going down from East Washington and stretching on up. So if you imagine an investor who might be landing at the airport, driving down to take a meeting at the UW, passing by our beautiful Capitol, Starting Block will be on their way. So what we're doing is we're taking some of the core entrepreneurial activities here in Madison. So Capital Entrepreneurs. I was a founding member of Capital Entrepreneurs now, 6 years ago. I'm probably getting these numbers wrong, or I'm getting old. 6 years ago, Capital Entrepreneurs started as an entrepreneurial activity, 5 of us gathering together over at Brokaw, basically complaining about how horrible it was to be an entrepreneur. What we ended up doing in Capital Entrepreneurs is one of my partners, Nate Lusting, said, let's call this a group. Let's convince Michael Best to pay for our drinks, and we can create an association out of this. But now Capital Entrepreneurs has over 300 members in the Madison area. We put on events like Startup Weekend. We are organizing things like the Forward Technology Festival. So catalyzing those kind of activities under one roof. Sector 67 is going to be moving on in. They'll be taking 9,000 square feet of Starting Block. So this is a maker space where you have things like how do you use a 3D printer? What's the latest in drone technology? How do you use a mill or a lathe? Coming into one roof, and Generator, which many of you know is a tech incubation space. Has spun out 33 companies out of their top 15 in the world incubation space. Has raised millions of dollars for Madison tech companies. Each of these 3 will make the core group of what Starting Block will be. This is going to be a community workspace. So what that means is we'll have partners. Now we've signed on all 3 academic institutions to be having programming in classroom space here at Starting Block. So the University of Wisconsin, not only through their business school, but also the School of Medicine, very excited about classroom programming at Starting Block. Edgewood and Madison College have all talked about how they're going to bring their resources so that not only their students can see entrepreneurship, but also for that benefit of what that entrepreneurial mindset is, of how do educational programs fill in the gaps. We've now talked to 2 different groups that want to do a code academy. And the one that I'm the most excited about is we're having conversations with the Latino Professionals Association. How do you get particularly young women involved in programming classes? These are the types of opportunities that we're talking here. Madison College, Madison East High School, how do you expose sophomores and juniors into what's going on with 3D printers and in drones? So we're having this center of innovation with all of our great financial partners with American Family Insurance, MG&E, the Doyen Group, all under one roof. There will be tech space for companies to move in. So if we break down the 50,000 square feet, 9,000 of that is Sector 67, and then we have 4 additional floors. Our community space will be our first floor. And whether that's classroom space, whether it's organizations like this, having a free place to put on programming, the community space is our first floor. The second floor, as we go up the building, groups like Doyen and Generator occupying for their companies. And then third and fourth floors will actually be established tech companies. We can incubate companies here from anywhere from 1 to about 25 to 30 employees at short-term leases, essentially month to month, to up to 3 years. Our goal is a company would stay here for a 3-year duration, mature out of the incubation space, and then into the rest of the world. So right now in our first class of companies, Per Blue and Abodo have both signed on that they will be 2 of our anchor tenants. Beekeeper, Grocer Key, Wait Up Solutions, Mobile Igniter, they're also here in some of the smaller tenant spaces. And at this point, I believe we will be at about 80% right now capacity from day one. The goal is to have churn, though, over in this space. So what we want to do is watch these companies grow, and then we want to boot them out of the nest so the next companies can come on in and fill that space. So right now, what I would do is say, please check out our website, StartingBlock Madison. Right now, I would say take out your phones. If you haven't already, find us on Facebook, StartingBlock Madison. Like us on Facebook. Follow the various updates, because we do believe that this will be a catalyst, not only for Madison, for the region. If you think about Ward 4 over in Milwaukee, the tech incubation space that's being built there, we believe this will be the Madison bookend to that I-94 corridor. We will be starting a different fundraising campaign, so we will be also doing some crowdfunding for the building itself, which you'll see in the next month. But we're incredibly excited just about the energy that we have here. Our goal is to be shovels in the ground November or December, and hopefully by winter of next year, having the center open. So with that, I'm open for any questions.
What are your lease rates going to be? Square foot?
So essentially, we have a deal with American Family that we can do almost anything on the terms of square footage and lease. What we're shooting at right now is an escalation model. So we'll have the first year about 50% below market rate, which is around $20. And so we're talking $10 to $12 for at least the small, single entrepreneurial companies, and then raising that over the course of the 3-year duration there in the center. But it would be substantially below market rate, really for the goal that these companies are putting more money into their own company, finding partners into engineering and product and marketing, and not worrying about office space. So we are a nonprofit. We are a 501(c)(3). American Family Insurance is our major donor to the center itself, alongside Madison Gas and Electric. We will be profitable from day one. Cash flow positive. That is essentially why we're doing our fundraising and capital campaign right now. We are roughly 85% already raised for this project, so while there is a gap that still exists, we're confident we'll be able to cross that by the time doors are open.
So I'm curious, you talk about renting out the spaces. So let's say you're full, and now you have 3 new companies who want to get in, but it's by month. So what's the plan for that? Having a wait list, or having them have to come every month and check?
Yeah, so we are dealing with that right now. You go through different pieces of excitement when you launch a new project. So I've had a startup company prior to this. I was the COO and founder of Hardin Design and Development. We've been around for 9 years. And anytime you release a project for public consumption, you just never know what the reaction's going to be. When we put out our lease agreements, I didn't know if anybody was going to sign up or be interested in this. In the first 4 hours, when I said, wow, we've nearly reached 100% capacity, I realized I need to think through, and our team needs to think through a few of our different decisions that we're making. So there will be a committee process for entry for the office space. We're fairly confident that the first floor and the second floor will be able to meet demands. One of the positive pieces about this project is we are, 50,000 square feet over in those first 4 floors. This is a commercial tower right next door that still has about 100,000 square feet of office space. So we do believe that even if we start seeing that pent-up demand, there will be other areas that we'll be able to address. But having competition for office space is not a bad thing. One of the things you do learn just as entrepreneurs in general is whether it's for a product, there's always going to be competition. So we do want to be able to accelerate the companies that we do feel have the best opportunity to make it in the world.
A small other logistical question. What about parking down there?
So one of the other interesting pieces to this, if we go back to this slide, so the City of Madison, included in the mayor's executive budget, are building a new ramp that will actually go on Main Street. You can sort of see it in this gray box. MG&E is doing something that's unprecedented with this ramp. So MG&E owns all of this land. What they will be doing is entering in, and right now this is being discussed at the LOI phase, but a 100-year land lease to actually build a city parking ramp on this space. So it will be somewhere between 400 and 600 units of parking. However, given our location, given the entrepreneurial community, I'm more concerned with how do we facilitate bike parking on the site itself. How do we make sure, whether it's car-to-go or zip car, have a presence there. I think the automotive industry is going to change drastically in the next 10 years. So hopefully at some point we won't have to be talking about the parking.
Scott, on the last picture you were showing Starting Block and then the other corporate office space as a small company is looking for office space downtown. How are they going to make the decision between if they want to be in this building, how will they make the decision between Starting Block and the other corporate office space? What's going to be different about how Starting Block is sort of managing culture or relationships, or how does that feel different?
You hit the nail right on the head. It's that it's the culture that we're creating. So this will be a space that flows. Not only on that first floor and the second floor, the number of mentors moving in and out of the space itself, but just the structure and the guidelines to it. This would feel like any other office space with a really cool next-door neighbor. This is the really cool next-door neighbor. So for those smaller offices, essentially we have worked out with Otto Gebhardt and others how any of these deal flows will flow in to Starting Block. There are a couple rules and requirements of companies that are scalable, simply because not that small businesses aren't amazing. I have a small business. Just because you have 3 employees and you need space doesn't necessarily mean you would be the right fit for Starting Block, but you might be the right fit for some of the other community spaces right around. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more of the co-working competition that we've seen in Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Austin, in the Madison ecosystem for smaller companies.
Yeah, certainly there's significantly more co-working spaces popping up, like Matrix, I know, Dana, and things that a lot of people aren't on a lot of people's radar yet. But can you talk a little bit more about what's the ideal ratio, the ideal number of companies that you'd like to have in that space?
We were bouncing that around actually last Thursday, and we're continuing to talk about what are our exact metrics for success. What will those look like? So it's a little bit too soon to give you that exact number, but I would assume right now we'll see at least 50 to 75 companies moving in and out of that space over the course of the 3 years, and I would assume many other companies, will have some type of presence, whether it's their employees hanging out, whether it's just the excitement of some of their senior leadership, all the way down through. A company like Eat Street, would never be able to fit in a space like this. But as we're sitting with the CEO, Matt Howard, he's excited. Neosoft would be another great example where we're seeing a lot of support, but their space inside Starting Block would never be able to fit. So this will be the hub. This will be that place of activity. This is where the excitement will be happening.
So you said that not every company that has 3 to 5 employees would be a good fit for Starting Block necessarily. What would make a company a good fit?
Really, if you're looking at that scalable model, and that's one of the pieces that we always have to distinguish. What is a company that is scalable? What is a company that's looking for venture financing, whether it's VC debt, whether it's angel investment? That's a different trajectory than a company who might just be doing the more traditional incubation. And there are traditional incubators around. We love them, we support them, but this is filling a certain gap that we see in the community.
So I don't know if you've thought about this, but maybe give me a sense if I'm just somebody walking off the street. I could be the next most amazing tech guru in the world, and I'm coming in the door. Tell me how I would feel, and how would I find my way around, how would I orientate myself, and how would I understand what I'm facing in terms of trying to meet up with people that may be a great fit for me.
Yeah, so this, there's been a couple different analogies to this, whether it's the clubhouse feel, and particularly this is the first floor of the real community space that you can see that's being built here. I have a couple different theories of just the Madison ecosystem. I've been involved now for the last 10 years almost, which is getting... I used to be the really young person on scene, and now it's like, oh, I've been here for a while. I see mid-career entrepreneurs as probably one of the most undersought-after talent here in the city of Madison that we don't pursue. We talk a lot about how does someone from UW become an entrepreneur or Madison College become an entrepreneur. If you had the decision, if you're someone who wants to invest in a new technology in the entrepreneur or in the insurance realm, and you've been working in the insurance field for the last 15 years of your life, you don't want to work in that field, you want to find a place of how do I go about and have an idea. That person who comes in with an idea still needs the same legal resources, accounting resources, mentorship and guidance as a 22-year-old who might have that same exact idea in the insurance realm. The reality is for the investor, who's probably the safer person to put your money in, with a 22-year-old or the person who's been in the industry for 15 years. So we want to create a welcoming environment for anybody that wants to explore an idea. Now, just because someone has an idea, it's not always a great idea, and sometimes not even a good idea. Every once in a while, it's not even an average idea, and you have to, still have, that kind of motivation. But the amount of programming that we have in that first floor, we really do believe that we will be the ones who are able to attract with good programming, interesting speakers, and a benefit for that person who's walking in. So some of the pieces that we haven't seen elsewhere, this was an idea that was put together by 3 technology entrepreneurs that hold probably amongst them 15 or 20 different FDA patents. They said, look, we've been very successful entrepreneurs in our, by ourselves. We want to be able to, if someone did X, Y, or Z concept, we would go out and mentor them. We would go out and fund them. Well, what better when you have 3 or 4 panelists being able to say, these are the ideas we wish someone would do so we could go fund this idea. Having that kind of programming, not only from entrepreneurs in town, but groups like Harley-Davidson, Kohl's, these are some of the ones that we're talking to right now, of trying to bring more established companies in Wisconsin to a single center. Right now, on those partners that we do have signed up for that kind of programming, American Family Insurance and MG&E, but we're making pitches to other Wisconsin companies inside and outside Madison.
time for one more question.
Scott, I'm curious how you see like the evolution of the entrepreneur space in Madison. I know, well, Mayor Soglin has been a big supporter of cooperatives and whatnot. Can you speak at all to, like some non-traditional business models that, or any sort of evolution of the state of entrepreneurship or startups that you see related to that?
Particularly inside the cooperative model, owner-occupied companies and how you try to have the drive for talent is probably where you're going to see that the most. You have a number of engineers who recognize they are incredibly smart engineers, but don't necessarily have this, don't necessarily want to partner the same way with business talent itself. So when you look at Smith Engineering, which is probably one of the most successful co-op examples, I would assume more companies like that are going to come from the engineering realm. And because of UW-Madison, I would see that as a catalyst for those types of models in the future. I know at least 2 or 3 other employee-owned tech companies that are trying to establish like that. The problem is with scaling that and trying to bring in VC financing, it becomes very difficult on the balance sheet. The other thing that I would assume that, where I would like to see the startup movement go in Madison is we don't have the same kind of drive on social entrepreneurship as I see in other communities. In San Francisco, for example, there is a very strong drive to make sure that if you have an equity-based company, you are putting 1 to 3% of your equity into nonprofits and other social projects. I would love to see that become the norm in Madison versus the exception. It has in other communities, and I would assume it will be next year.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for coming in and talking to us about Starting Block, and thank you to all of you for coming and taking part and for all of your questions. There's a little bit of time if you want to come and ask Scott a question in person. Please drink some more coffee. And thank you so much for coming, and thank you again to the sponsors.
Already, go find us on Facebook, like the page, please do. I hear my phone buzzing, which is a good sign, but I'm not hearing enough of it. And then lastly, we have an email. If you're not on Facebook, we do have the email listserv, and you will see a crowdfunding campaign, and I actually can announce that as well. What we will be doing is we will be starting in late September. We will be selling virtual bricks to help us close our crowdfunding campaign here. It will be $20 a brick. You're encouraged to buy more than one, but the goal is everybody in the community can have a role in a center like this. So keep your eyes out for that. Thank you.
Thank you.